So this is what you are all waiting for. So Martin Tibabuzo, Creative Director for Peak Sports and from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I'm going to read a little bit here. So Martin Tibabuzo is a multidisciplinary designer and creative director at Peak Football, where he designs the branding and apparel of products and experiences. He's joining us from Buenos Aires, Argentina, where he was born in 1976. A couple of decades later, Martín graduated with a BFA in graphic design from the Facultad de Arquitectura, Diseño y Urbanismo, known as FADU, the School of Architecture, Design, and Urbanism, at the University of Buenos Aires, Argentina. That's a public and free university, and it's very important to remark that. Martín also taught at FADU for over 10 years. Martín and I met in one of those classrooms. We were so young. Well, we team up as adjunct instructors for one of our dear professors, Enrique Longinotti. And I've seen some names joining us that are appearing in these pictures, so I'm pretty excited. After I moved to the US, I lost track of Martin for a while. I didn't know that he was very busy working with his own art design collective called FASE, doing motion graphics for important TV channels in America and Europe. For over 8 years, he worked as a senior apparel designer for Adidas Germany, where he had the opportunity to conceptualize and design football products, from jerseys, balls, to footwear and branding kits. Martin traveled frequently to work with athletes to improve product quality, hence this picture with Lionel Messi. Martin comes from a family of creatives, and his heritage is deeply embedded in his creations. I am so delighted to have Martin, my longtime friend, share his work with AIGA Houston and Unidos and all of you. So because we are both from Argentina, we're both from Buenos Aires, I wanted to do it a little bit like nostalgia here with this mural that is a very famous quote from a tango, and the translation might not resonate the same way, but it talks about all the times that we leave, but then we come back. And I think that this connects with some of the things that you will learn from Martin today. So I have one question before we start for Martin. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Hi guys, hi everyone, how are you? Well, first of all, thank you very much for the organization of this event. I'm really delighted, I'm really happy that I was invited. It was a long time ago that we didn't see each other with Natasha. As she said, we know each other for a long time. We were nearly kids comparing to now, so it's really cool to see each other again. And of course, when I received the invitation, I was really excited. So yeah, let's go for the presentation. It's going to be my first presentation in English for some years now, so it's sometimes it could be a little bit tricky, but I think it's going to be all right. So hopefully you all understand me, and if you don't understand, just ask whatever I say, and I try to explain it in my nice Spanglish, or however we call it. So yeah, the first question is really interesting. As we know, we are broadcasting from Houston. So the question, the poll that was taking part before we start the chapter, there was a lot of a big presence of astronauts. It looks like it was like this. I guess it's because of our times. Also, when I was a kid, I also wanted to be an astronaut. I think there were a lot of movies at that time with astronauts. But I also wanted to be some other things. So I think we just go through the presentation now, and we start to talk about all these things. How can it happen that it comes true somehow?
Sorry, you can start sharing now.
Okay. Now you can see my presentation, right? It's clear?
Not yet.
Screen.
Now it's loading. Yes, now it's loading.
Perfect.
Great, thanks.
All right. Okay, this is a drawing. As Natasha said before, there's a lot of heritage and cultural heritage in the family. So I have my two grandfathers. One was an artist and the other one was a shoemaker. We always have this kind of joke that all the genes, the genetic heritage comes after one generation. So you will see somehow during the whole presentation how this came through. This is a drawing I was doing with one of my grandparents, with my grandfather. It's a rocket, as you can see, it's really clear. And on the other side is a grenadier, a granadero. A granadero is a kind of a soldier from the independence wars here in Argentina. It was created by a general called San Martin. My granddad was like a fan of San Martin always. So I guess that we did this drawing in a kind of collaboration because the rocket is quite detailed, as you can see. So these are two of the things I wanted to be when I was a kid. I wanted to be an astronaut and I wanted to be a grenadier also. I also wanted to be a football player. I guess most of the kids in Argentina, we all want to be football players. This drawing is from 1982, it was first grade, and I guess that my dad took me to the stadium that weekend, so that's probably the impressions I had. Like this is also River Plate, my team here in Argentina, and I guess that this might be my first football kit design. Then I got a little bit more serious regarding design. This is part of also my inspiration. I always remember my dad used to watch a lot of tennis on TV. And I remember when this guy came up, it was fantastic. And at that time, if you remember, if some of the people has my age or somehow the same, there was no internet, right? There was no chance to see whatever he was wearing on the court, on the matches. You had to see it live on TV, and you have to pay a lot of attention. You had to get really close to a TV that it was not HD. You remember it was a PAL, or so it was like a really big pixels. So every time there was a game, I had to go really close to the TV to watch what kind of shoes he was wearing. And then I started to draw. This is the ones on the left are drawings I was doing when I was a kid also. I think this might be on the beginning of the 90s. And I started to enjoy a lot of this shoe design or sneaker design, because I remember also my dad was also always a fan of sport clothes. So we are always going to different shops and we were checking, and I was checking, and we didn't buy anything. It was just like going and checking and just learn how the shoes were doing. For me, it was just like the beginning of inspiration and something I really wanted to do one day, design shoes. I don't know why, but it started little by little. Maybe the first approach to design was trying to recreate what I was seeing on TV. And as I said, there was no chance to go to internet and just check Google what you wanted to see. It's like, okay, what tennis shoes is Agassi wearing? No chance. So the only chance was just to see and draw as quick as you can. If we have to talk about inspiration, I think this is big time.
Could you make the full screen preview?
Yeah,
I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay, you can see it now. I was scared that I couldn't see the people. So if we have to talk about inspiration, I think this is a big time inspiration. This is, as we said in the beginning, in the introduction, I studied in the public university. And public university in Buenos Aires is kind of a big thing. is not a beautiful university, as you can say. You can see it here. This is an old picture anyways. I think now it can be a little bit more destroyed in some parts, and some other parts maybe a little bit better. But public university, somehow you have to love it, because if not, you quit. But the amazing thing is the amount of people and the amount of inspiration you can get there. Just for the people that you never came to Buenos Aires, or you're not from Buenos Aires, I think that at that time, the time we were studying, there was around like 10,000 students per day going to the university, and the rooms were quite big. Some of the rooms were having 200, 250 students, and not in a class that you just talk. It's a class that you do things. You break, you paint, you smash, you do a lot of things. So there's a lot of experimentation in the classes, and it's just amazing the people you can get to know there. I met one of my masters, my Jedi masters over there. It was like Enrique Longinotti, the place where we were teaching together with Natasha. He was one of the maybe the person that really was teaching me how to look things in a different way. It's of course the university was big, but he was one of the big inspirations for me. He's still my friend. We still talk from time to time, and I was teaching his class for around 10 years. I think in different eras somehow. Some the last century and some this century, but it's been a long time that we know each other. And the university somehow made me met other 3 people really special, and it's the ones we were creating and founding this art collective. There was called FASE. FASE started as a fanzine. It was really a low budget fanzine. And then the fanzine, we decided that we wanted to do a launch event. So we did a kind of art exhibition together with the fanzine. And then the next issue was like a fanzine plus the art installation plus a party, because we wanted to launch the fanzine with a party. And then the next one was like a fanzine with the launch event, with the installation, with the party, and we were doing some music for the party. And I think the last one, it's funny because you can see there were not a lot of fanzines. We struggled a lot to get the money to print it and do all these events. So we always, our dream was to have only one sponsor, so you don't have to put a lot of sponsors in the magazine and ruin it. And it's crazy that the first issue that we did it, we didn't lose any money on the issue number 5, that it was the number 6, because there was also a number 0. The first number was that we didn't lose money and we get only one sponsor, was our last issue. We never did it again. I don't know why it's this stupid marketing ideas we have, but somehow we thought that was the best thing we could ever done. So we may fear that the next issue was not going to be as good as this one, and this one was a fantastic thing. It's like as I said, it was like the fanzine plus the exhibition plus some music, a party. We did a big party in a football stadium, so it was a big thing. And it's crazy because we did some motion graphics for this party, and this ended up being probably the best projects and the most profitable projects that we ever made. With these animations we did for the launch event, we did a short film so we could participate in an art event, big art event here in Buenos Aires. And after that, we even sent it to Berlin, to the Berlin Film Festival. And at that time, I think it's still now, it's a great contest from the Berlin Film Festival that they call it Talent Campus. So of course it's a campus for talented people. And somehow they saw that there was, I don't know, like submitting like 200 short films, but the only one that was like completely out of context was ours. And they told us that it's like, look, we didn't understand you, we didn't get what you wanted to say, but it was so different that we have to select your job. Can you explain it to us? So that was the way. It's just like we got to the Berlin Film Festival somehow for it was not the back door, it was the side door. And it was really great for us. And as I said, probably this was the best project we did, because it was like from the very first moment we started to work on that one till the last consequence of this project. I think it was like 2 years. And there were a lot of different steps, and every step was surprising us a little bit more. So I guess that this is the reason that we never did another magazine, another fanzine. And the most crazy thing, I was going to go to the next slide, and then I remembered I had to say something else. The sponsor that we had for this magazine, it was really funny. We tried with one sponsor for like 6 months, and they didn't pick up the phone, or they pick up the phone, but they say, okay, call me next week. And like this was for 6 months. So at the end we say, okay, just beep, beep. I was going to say a bad word. So I just go to for the other guys. So we call them and they say, okay, come to the office. And immediately we started to work with them, and they sponsor us, and this was Adidas, right? So the nice coincidence is that because of that, we started to work for Adidas as a freelance designer, freelance artists maybe. So it was fantastic, because it's like they didn't pay us. They were giving us like some shoes and some clothes, and we were like more happy than with money, of course. And we always wanted to do some meetings just to show them something, because every time we were going to the office, they were giving us some stuff. So we were making a lot of meetings just for nothing. And in one of these meetings, I told them that I wanted to make football jerseys. And of course they say like, yeah, everyone wants to do football jerseys. Yeah, but I do football jerseys. So what, how? And I had my computer there. So I just opened and I started to show them like some 200 designs that I had made in the probably 2 months before, because it was always, since I was in school, I was always doing some designs of shoes or football jerseys or whatever. So I started to show them that, and that was the beginning of my relationship with the other Adidas, not the Adidas in Argentina, the Adidas in Germany. And I think that it was like after that, like 1.5 years or 2 years, that finally I got a call from Adidas. So it was, I can make this part of the story really long, but let's make it short, because then I get like, I talk too much. I tend to talk too much. So I moved to Germany. I couldn't believe it. Just, I tell you that now again, I think it's the 200 times I already told this story. But it's still really crazy that I can't really get how happened that, I don't know where it started, really. And I don't know how it ended that I was there. So it came to happen that I thought that I was going to be there for like 2 years, because that was my goal, just to design and learn some things for some years. And at the end, I stayed like 8 years. I always find a reason to stay one season more. And I was really lucky. As I said, if I would have ended up working for Nike, I love Nike. I love Nike. I love Adidas. I love both. I like sport goods. So I love both. But it's really crazy. I'm a River Plate fan, and I'm Argentinian. So if I would have ended up working for the others, I probably would have designed the opposite, like Brazil and Boca Juniors, that are the opposites. So I can say that I'm really, really happy. Because I'm lucky in these things, that the matter that they never pick up the phone and made a meeting with Nike, I end up calling Adidas. So it was really cool. I'm Argentinian, but I'm half Colombian. So I also had the one of the most amazing experiences that I designed the jersey that Colombia went back to play a World Cup after a lot of years. So I don't, when I go back, I'm really critical with some of my designs. Today I don't think I like the Colombian jersey, but it was one of the best-selling Colombian jerseys in the history of Adidas and Colombia, because I think it was not only that they play fantastic, it was just like they went back to play a football World Cup after a long time, and the whole connection between the football team and the country was great. So yeah, I was really lucky. I designed some football shoes for Messi also, but this can be part of another talk one day. If you want to invite me again, I go back and talk about all these things. I design a lot of football clubs also, not only national teams. I like football. I never got really serious in being a football player because I'm not really skillful, but I like football. And just to think about that, the first jersey I designed for Adidas was the one on the top left. That one, this one. I don't know how is it with the mirror thing. So yeah, I was impressed about again what I work a lot of years doing motion graphics for TV, for cinema, and I was always excited about seeing the product I designed on TV, on the cinema, or a big screen. But the first time I went to a football game in Milan, and I saw Ronaldinho, I think it was Shevchenko, David Beckham, there were Andreas Pirlo, there was a lot of big players using the jersey I was doing. For me, it was something unbelievable. It was like a dream come true. And I was like a little bit of I don't know, I never been one of these guys that wants to get a signature jersey or whatever, but in this game, I wanted to get a signature of everyone. In some point, I wanted them to know that I was the guy doing the jersey, but it's like, at the end, I didn't do anything anyways. Going back, I always like to talk about this project. That's like some reasons. First of all, a lot of people ask, what's the inspiration on, or what the story? I mean, one of the title of this talk was about stories that a product tells, or something like this. When a product has no story and is really beautiful, okay, it's beautiful, it's nice, I like it, whatever. But when the product has a story, there's such a special connection. I mean, there's a lot of graphic designers in the audience, and I think it's like most of you ever at least once heard about storytelling. And I think it's not a new concept, but it's a really strong concept. And I think in the last years, it got really stronger and stronger. And it's a key point. For example, if I've been designing football jerseys for the last 15 years or something like this. And if there were not stories to tell in the jerseys, I think I would have done like 1 or 2 seasons, and then I get bored. Because you really need to be connected with what you do, and for who do you do it, and why do you do it, and there has to be a story. I think it's like, as I said, it's like if I do one Argentinian jersey, I say, okay, I do the stripes, blue, white, blue, white, blue, white, or it can be white, blue, white, blue, white, blue. Then I do 3 stripes, and I do 4 stripes of 7 stripes. But if there's not a story, you get bored, and the consumer get bored. Of course, it's like you have to do something that they get a connection. So in these cases, it's a jersey for Olympique Lyonnais in France. We went to Lyon. It's a beautiful city. It's really beautiful. But I always have one technique. I love it. It's just like whenever you want to get the proper sense of a city or of a country, you just go to Google and you Google top 5 museums of wherever you go. So I went to Lyon, and I did that exercise, and it came something fantastic. The Lumiere Brothers Museum. I didn't know, I mean, I studied in the university, but I completely forgot. The Lumiere brothers were from Lyon, and they invented cinema. So it was just something like I didn't know, and I didn't know if going to the museum was going to have some inspiration for me for the jersey, but I wanted to go to the museum because it's something like crazy just to have the chance that you go for work to a city. They give you a city tour. They just tell you about like Roman constructions that are in Lyon or whatever, and then on top of that, you can go to the museum of the Brother Lumiere, and you see something in the picture on the lower left corner. These are the Lumiere brothers, and they have like 3D glasses. It's fantastic. They were not the first ones, but they were the seconds probably on making 3D projections, and that was crazy coincidence because the colors of the city and the club are blue and red. So I've been wanting to do, I wanted to do a 3D product. I tried with the shoes, I tried with balls, and I was always having some back point. And in this one, I have the perfect excuse to do something in 3D. And on top of that, it's like, if you see the picture on the top left, this looks like several houses, but actually it's only one. This is a kind of art typical from Lyon, and they claim that this kind of art is made and produced, and it was embedded in Lyon, and it's called in French something like Trump Duel or something like this. I tried several times, but I can't say it in French. And it's basically the deceiving the eye, right? Creating a view that is not real. So this is only a flat building, and they paint all these things that they make you think that it's several buildings, and there's people, and it's all on one-to-one scale. So with that, it's just like this Trump Duel and the Lumiere brothers and the 3D projections. I decided that it was time to make a jersey that it wasn't 3D. They wanted to use a V design, so I had to do this, like looks like birds. I don't know if it's nice, the birds, but they really love it. And we put like a small sign off down there. It's called the Frères Lumiere. That is the city of the Lumiere brothers, or the brothers light, because Lumiere means light. And it's also really interesting because Lyon is the city of light, and every 8th of December they do the Festival of Lights. So they presented this around this time with the City of Lights, and they did an app for the phone that you have to chase the players in the city, and with a 3D thing that was coming up. It was a big thing. It was really interesting, and it was kind of successful also, this jersey. So it was a good story. This is also something I really like. Always talk about this one because it's another of the dreams that I have from when I was a kid. The same. I had to do the Russian jersey for the World Cup in Brazil in 2014. So again, Google top 5 museums. I did it in Moscow, and I did it in St. Petersburg. But in Moscow, there was the Museum of the Cosmonauts. Okay, I was one of the ones wanted to be a cosmonaut when I was a kid. So I had to go to this museum. And again, I didn't know if it was going to be some kind of real inspiration, but also we did a lot of surveys. We had meetings with people from history, from teachers, players, fans. We interviewed people in the streets, in the shopping malls. And we wanted to know, the question for the 2014 World Cup was, what makes you proud of your country? When you go to Russia, you say, we won the war. And that's not really good because it's like you can't put a tank on a jersey, it's really bad. And also it's a German company, so we can't celebrate the war that they defeat the Germans. And it's not also really something nice to put on a jersey. So we started to trigger maybe the answer we wanted to hear. So we went to the museum and we started to talk about people, and they say like, okay, we were the first. We sent the first man to the out of the Earth. Yeah, it was not to the moon, it was not to Mars, not anywhere. It was the first guy went on an orbit to Earth was Russian. So that was perfect. So in the museum, one of the most shocking part was like there was a poster with some phrase that Yuri Gagarin, the first astronaut, cosmonaut, said when he was up there. Just imagine that the guy was like going up in a, I think that the iPhone has like much more technology than all the Apollo 11 rocket. So just imagine the guy was going up in a kind of a washing machine full of like blankets because it was cold, and with a radio probably, and with a window like this size. I think like really because in the museum the spaceship is there, and there's windows like this size. And it was shocking because in the sign was saying like, oh my God, this is really beautiful. It's blue, it's turquoise, it's dark blue. And then you realize that the guy was the first the first human on seeing with his own eyes the Earth. There were pictures, there were movies maybe like black and white or whatever, but no one ever before saw from space the Earth. And it was blue because, I don't know, it was like a black and white picture. It could have been green or it could have been different colors, but it was blue. He said, he described it like in blue. So we decided that the jersey from Russia for that, it had to be with a prominent blue. So we did that. It's like we got in touch with the space agency from Russia, and they sent us a huge, it was a DVD with at that time a DVD with a huge map made with photographs from the space station of Russia. So I put it in a 3D program. I map it on a 3D program. You can see it there in the presentation. It's on the left side. And what we wanted to recreate on this in this jersey was this first view of a human from Mother Russia at that time. Yeah, it was like a really nice story, and it was a crazy thing also because they didn't know if there was some legal issues of naming Gagarin or his phrase. There was supposed to be a phrase here that it was like in Russian, "Panyahele." I can say it better in Russian than in French. So it's like "Panyahele" means let's go or something like this. That was the phrase he said when he was going to be just launched to the air. Just imagine also like how could you feel when you are going to be launched to the space in a washing machine with a radio. And that was his phrase. And this phrase got like really famous in Russia. It's just like a kind of an encouraging phrase. So we wanted to put that. At the end, we had to take it off and put just Russia because of this maybe facing legal issues. And at the end, it was really cool because in the presentation of the jersey, they put all the players there with the jersey, and it was a huge projection of Yuri Gagarin's face. So there was no legal issues. But I would have liked to have this Panyahele thing instead of Russia. It was really good. And I will finish this story. I was going to say it now, but I will finish this story at the end of the presentation because it's also interesting. This is also really interesting. This is Argentinian jerseys. These two, this one and this one. My granddad was like a painter, and he was like a really huge fan of San Martin. And it's like so for this. As I said, with Adidas, we wanted to have the motif of this World Cup was to be what makes you proud. What are you going to take to Brazil? What makes your country proud? So in Argentina, I don't know if you know Argentinians, but Argentinians we are always arguing about everything. You can be Boca or you are River. You are Peronista. You are not Peronista. You are like from a capital city, or you are from the outer of Buenos Aires. So it's like it's always divided by two things, but there's also some things that unite us, and it's crazy. It was the first time that we were going to play a football World Cup in America, in Latin America. So we decided, I proposed that we do we do a jersey that is not based on football or is not based or anything like this. So like in Russia, let's go for something completely different. So let's go for the independence heroes. Yeah, it's like we call it here próceres. Próceres means independence hero. And it's also really nice coincidence on all this. It's like one of the biggest independence heroes is called Manuel Belgrano. He was not like a military, but then he became military and he was a lawyer. And he was creating the Argentinian flag. He was the creator of the Argentinian flag. It was like a kind of making it to differentiate from the Spanish army. So he made the first Argentinian flag was not like the one we have now. It was like half and half blue, half light blue, and half white on the top, as you can see also in the presentation. So I decided to make a little modification on the Argentinian crest. So you can see it there also on the left, that it has like a background exactly like the flag, like half and half. And also the design of the stripes, I don't have it here, but it's like there was a kind of a waving flag also in the stripes that also represents the half and half first flag. And this is the nice detail. This flag I have it here. I always have it here in my desk. Is this one? I don't know if you see it here in the. Is the one I have in the presentation. This was made by my granddad. It's like a kind of etching with ink. And I decided that this was like a little present for me and my family, just to include this flag on the design. So where you see in the middle is like Asociación del Fútbol Argentino. This is a small kind of sticker that goes here. The background of this is that flag. So for me, it was just something really amazing also to include something like really personal on a football jersey. For me, it was just a big present for myself. It was also here in this jersey, it's also in the back. And for this one also a nice story is like I had to, I think it was 2012, and I made a research of if I wanted to do the tribute to these two big people in Argentina, I wanted to do it right. The flag was kind of easy, but with the away jersey, it was a little bit more complicated. So I had to fax. You remember, you have to fax someone. I had to fax a general or a military to ask for permission to go to the museum of San Martin regiment. So I got a private tour. It was fantastic, really. It's just like I got a private tour for the museologist. I guess this is the profession in English. The woman in charge of the museum gave me a private tour, and she let me see everything. So two things were like really important on this. First, the shades of blue of the uniform of General San Martin. So I went with all these color palettes, fabric color palettes, and I just was really keen on getting it right. I wanted to have the 2 or 3 colors of the general uniform. So I finally got these 2 blues, and I did this kind of pattern with lines that represents the shoulder parts of the uniforms. And I also had to make a small twist to the crest of the jersey. And it's like, if you see it in the lower left side, it's all gold. It's like only the flag is in blue and white, but I changed all the colors. And that was a link to the metal bucket of the belt of the uniforms, that they have a grenade. It was crazy because the Grenadier regiment from San Martin was not a proper grenadier because they were not throwing grenades. There was like a on horse. The main thing, the main weapon was like loud sticks with I don't know, like a big arrows and shotguns, but not grenades. But anyways, the symbol of the Grenadiers was the grenade, and I represent that one in the jersey with the crest. So that was my part in Adidas. Then after that, I think it was somehow the same as happened with the fanzine, that after the best fanzine we ever did, we quit and we didn't do it anymore. So after that season, the 2014, I tried a lot of years to quit Adidas, and I couldn't. It was always something else more exciting to come and to come and to come. But after a while, it's like you want to go back to your country, to your family, to your home. And yeah, I decided after I think it was 3 years quitting, and I couldn't. So at the end, I made it. And when I came back, I decided that I was going to not to do any sports again. I was I wanted to go back to motion graphics or art direction or advertisement. I even did like some politic campaigns. And at the end, I went back. It's like it happened. It happened that sports called me again. It looks like I'm like a football player that tried to quit, and he can't. Well, I'm not a football player, but I can't quit football. So, but I found something much more cooler. That it's like I found a Chinese company interested in having me as a creative director. First thing I did, it was like creating the football BU, business unit. That it was like for a big company in China. They were having no design in football, and also the company was really big in China, but just starting to go out from China. So they needed someone that makes their brand image a little bit more from this size than that side. So that was I always said that it's like I think that Adidas was like a master of 8 years, that they pay me to do it. And the good thing of working now for this Chinese company is that I can just apply and I can just like show off or use all I learned in my master of 8 years. So I started creating the football view, but I went for everything. I think in the third meeting I had with them, I suggested that they had to change their logo, and they hated me and they didn't like it and they didn't want it and whatever. So little by little, I started to put the new logo I wanted in some products, in some samples, and at the end they like it. So I succeeded in creating this new branding, and that was just the beginning. Then I started to remake all the packaging and then the footballs and all the communication. So you can see here this creative job. No, it's not only about designing, it's also just it's also designing strategies and color strategies and product strategies and analyzing competitors and see what they are doing to know what you have to do to get more consumers. So it's been a really interesting job. As I said, it's like probably I'm designing like 20% of the time, and all the other time is just thinking about some strategies. Can be from color strategies, as you can see on the right side, or how you plan your collections, or how can you for example, in the middle, in the bottom, in the middle, you have one full collection, and then you have to divide it in different segments. So one segment is not stepping over the others. I had to design also some graphics for stands or for different exhibitions. I have to guide what they have to do in the social media. It's not always easy with Chinese companies to organize the social media, because they have like some issues with social media. So I started with the Argentinian social media, and then little by little other offices around the world starting to jump in. And that's really cool. I had to do a lot of calendars. That's part of my 8 years in Germany. But if I do calendars, I have to do it look nice. So I think it's a good thing of being have been working as a designer for a long time, that I know how they think the things I know how I want them to look. So if they look good for me, I think it's good for the rest also to share this. I had the good luck also that we started with the first football club that the company got was in Argentina, here in Argentina. So we got this football club. It's a mid to big size club here in Argentina, from Buenos Aires. They have a huge base of fans, and they're really loyal to the club. So it's really interesting to work with stories behind the jerseys also, and also to create the look of the campaigns and the look of the photo shooting, the way that you promote the jerseys. Well, now it's crazy because we have to promote them all online because of the COVID. So it's also interesting to think all these strategies of how you are going to launch the next jerseys, and how you're going to make the photo shooting, because you can't do a photo shooting, you have to do 3D things, maybe some motion graphics. Go back to motion graphics is always interesting. I started to do some footwear, of course. That was also one of my dreams when I was a kid. So I always started with, it's something coming to inspiration also. It's just like a lot of people is asking always, how do you get inspired? Because from one day to the other, they ask you, okay, you have to do some footwear. And I never did footwear, but I like footwear. So I always, I think part of the job as a designer has to do every day is just to get inspired. You don't need to get the job to look for the inspiration. I think you always have to look for the inspiration. It's I always said, it's like I prefer to have an overload of visuals or inspiration that I can't make, that have a lack of inspiration when I need it, right? It's like it's always better to have an overload and be overwhelmed by inspiration, and that somehow you need to take it out. That I don't know, in Spanish it's más vale que sobre y no que falte, for the Spanish speakers. It's maybe something fun, but it's like it's a common saying here. And I think for the designer, it gets like really fits perfectly for the profession. I never like to get caught by surprise by a project with no inspiration. So I have like tons of reference folders, like tons. I mean, it's like I'm a collector of references, and I have it like really in folders. It's really good. But I think it's part of our job. It's just like every day I think you have to check emails, and you have to get inspired, and then you have to work. Never wait for the rush of getting inspired. This is a really nice collection. I have to do. It's just like this was my first footwear collection for this Chinese brand, and we wanted to do something with there's an existing outsole, existing technology that they have. They wanted to do something that it was not performance, so I wanted to go wild somehow. If I can say that, I think I went wild. You can clearly see that I went wild, and I can't say much about this project. That it's my first footwear project, and I'm really proud of the way it came. And I don't know if I'm going to use these shoes, but I like them. This was my second one, and it's just like when it comes to concepts, it's not always that you have to have like really complicated concepts, right? It's just like okay, the first flag, the Cosmonauts, I don't know, it's just a lot of stories like the 3D glasses or whatever. But sometimes it comes to something really easy. In this case, the previous collection that I did, it was like black and white, completely black and white. So the next collection, I wanted to make it was like fall winter was like a black and white. Okay, spring summer we go wild with the colors, and somehow it looks like I'm colorblind in some of these combinations, like brown with red and pink and whatever. But I wanted to show that it was like completely out of the all that I kept inside the box for the first collection was exploding in my face, and it's just coming at a rain of colors. So it's just, that was the nice part of this collection. This was also a really nice project. It's like one of the projects that is on hold because of the COVID, but I had to create some outsoles for this technology. And I was really also interested. That was part of the first 2 months of the lockdown. I decided that I had to learn some new software, so I learned some Rhino, and I watched like a lot of tutorials, and I don't know if I know how to use Rhino, but I know how to do some outsoles, so that I'm happy. And it's like, in this case, I had to wait for the rush that I had to learn something really quickly because I had to do a project. So in this case, it was the opposite of what I said in the previous slide. And this was one of the last projects I did. It was also really interesting because it's a full 3D shoe. It's completely printed in 3D, except of the laces, I think, and the lining. All the rest is 3D printed. And for this, I created the whole thing from the very first concept to the box and the wrapping paper and some apparel that is supposed to come with the shoes. Is a limited edition. And in this case, I went a little bit more further with the inspiration and the concept. As you can see, the outsole is really empty. It's not a lot of material, and it's a lot of air, so it's kind of empty. And it's the idea that we wanted to do with that. It was that you were floating, right? Because when you see the shoe from the side, you see through the outsole. So the idea was that you're floating in the air. You're just stepping, but you don't touch your shoe. Your shoe is not touching the floor. It's just like something in the middle. So immediately it came with a levitation, right? You're levitating, and then you want to have something fast and something light that is levitating, and you have the levitating train. And it came to happen that the fastest magnetic levitation train is in China. It's called the maglev. And the latest one is the one is getting from Shanghai to, I can't remember which other city. Is that train that is you can see down there nearly in the left corner. And you can see some of the drawings. That's right. It's like the outsole is like floating. So the magnetic levitation train is a train that is not touching the rails. It's floating and it's really fast. So basically, I took the colors from the train, like this kind of white silvering and this strong blue, and I put it on a shoe. It's just like again, it's like trying to make some light futuristic design with some of the elements of the train. And I really like this project also. And it goes back to, it's like that's the way it ends the presentation, right? It's like we're getting to the end. I became an astronaut somehow. I will tell you why. I became a grenadier, right? Because it's like I made a jersey based on the Grenadiers, and that jersey play a football final. It went to a final in a football game. And the crazy thing is that's what I didn't tell you at the beginning when I was talking about the Russian jersey. The Russian Federation got like so excited with this jersey and the space and all these things that they started to check when they were launching some rockets for the space station, and there were no launches in 2014. That was really bad. So they didn't care at all, and they sent the previous jersey to the space station. So this jersey, this was a 2012 jersey I did, has nothing to do with astronauts, with cosmonauts, but it was sent to the space. So I'm really proud that I became somehow an astronaut because I designed something that went to space. And it was used by an astronaut. It's like, he looks like a toothbrush. What he's saying is a microphone. So the launch of this jersey was like, I think you can see it in YouTube. It's like if you Google Russia 2012 Adidas space or something, there is a video clip that they shoot, and then they show how they put the jersey in a capsule and they take it over there, and how the astronaut is the first Russian in using this jersey. So I'm really proud. I never thought it was going to be true, and I never thought that I was going to be an astronaut, and I never imagined that I had the chance to design something that goes to space, but it happened. So I played this football final. It's like this is probably the last minute when we went to the final in 2014 after the penalties. Maxi Rodriguez kicked a strong penalty against Netherlands, and we went to the final. So for me, I felt like somehow I had my part there. It's just like you see the jersey in this picture, and it's like it's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable feeling. And the last one, this is a request from Natasha, because it's not only that I play the football. I played 2 World Cups, if I can say. I played 2 World Cups, but the first one is always really special. And in the first one, I was really lucky that I designed the jersey with the inspiration of an old jersey of 1986. I'm from 76, so when we played in the Mexico World Cup, I was 10 years old. I think that when you have 10 years old, the team that is on the top on that moment is going to be really strong for your life. So I will always remember Maradona, and I had the chance to design a jersey inspired on the jersey that he played in the Mexico World Cup, where he scored the famous goals, and we were champions. And for 2010, he got to be the trainer of the team. So I had the chance of designing the jersey, going to the World Cup, and meeting my big hero from when I was a kid. So that's that's the last slide of the presentation, and it's really special. So thank you very much, guys.
That was fantastic. So amazing, the amount of work that you have created over the years. I've been like following the chat, and people are impressed and they want to even learn more about each story. It's like now we have a suggestion for the AIGA Unidos podcast. We were not like talking about, just because of your way of sharing stories, Martin. That was great. I'm going to share my screen because now we are in Q&A time. Yay. And we have been collecting all these amazing questions. Martin, this is a long list. I'm going to pick some from the list here. There's a couple that are in Spanish. The majority are in English. So for the ones that are in Spanish, I'll read them in Spanish. I have used translation to convert it, but if you could answer it in Spanish and English, so everyone will understand.
Perfect.
Okay, so I don't have it in the slideshow. Well, there's a lot of questions. They're kind of random, so I'm going to go through some of them. How much do you think family influenced your creativity or artistic passions? And then this person also says, I just love how, this is from Dalia Garza. I just love how he gets you inspired by the city, so much creativity, so much marketing and design involved. You have to be passionate about so many things at the same time to appreciate everything.
Well, first part of the family. In my case, I think it's really strong inspiration. I don't know if in any case of other designers, I don't know if your parents are like account managers or something, probably you get inspired but to do some other things. In my case, I think the inspiration is quite clear where it comes from and where it took me. And I guess that is a big thing. It's like until my first 4 years, I think I was living nearly the whole day in my grandparents' house. So I was just painting a lot. That's what I like so much to paint and draw. So I get a lot of inspiration is coming from there. The second part about the passion, yeah, of course, it's just like I think the idea is that whatever job you get, you are passionate about. Sometimes, of course, it happens that you have to make a job for other reasons, like for living, and we all have this kind of a jobs from time to time. But the best thing is always try to find. I mean, you can have your job here, and you can look it from different points of view. Just try to look from the point that makes you more passionate, right? If it's not because you like the job, do it because you like to make to make a research about the job or the result of the job, or where it's going to look, or where it's going to take you. But I think it's always like there must be something that you like from the job to make it.
That's great. Thank you, Martin. Another question, I'm reading it in both languages. ¿Definirías las barreras lingüísticas como una limitación para un buen trabajo de diseño? Would you define language barriers as a limitation for good design work? And this is from Z.
Bueno, lo digo en español. Bueno, en español no me parece, o sea, yo soy una persona de hispanoparlante, fui al colegio, aprendí inglés durante la primaria y secundaria. Después, durante muchos años no hablé inglés, y cuando me tuve que ir a Alemania tuve que hacer como un curso rápido de volver a aprender inglés. Por suerte me acordaba bastante. Fue quizás una barrera para la vida al principio, porque tenía que acostumbrarme a hablar, a entender, a pensar en otro idioma, y me parece que era esa la barrera. Pero a la hora de trabajar, quizás en las reuniones te costaba entender lo que decían, pero no me parece que haya sido una barrera. Y para el último trabajo que para lo que estoy haciendo ahora, que es para China, ahí sí hay como una gran diferencia de idioma, y así todo se puede trabajar. Hoy en día me parece que es mucho más fácil, aparte, las comunicaciones. Creo que en otras épocas quizás se hacía un poco más difícil, pero siempre me parece que ser bilingüe o trilingüe es siempre una ventaja para desenvolverse uno, para presentar las ideas y todo eso.
And now in English.
I think it's not. I think it's not like a really big disadvantage. I think it's of course, when you are speaking 2 or more languages, it's much more easier when you want to communicate your ideas, you want to show what you're thinking, because the more fluent you are, it's like easier to show the real things you have inside. In the other hand, when I moved to Germany, it was hard at the beginning for me, because there were for several years, I think I learned English until I was 15, and then I never speak again until I moved to Germany. So maybe it was 10, 12 years without speaking any English. So I had to rush in learn when I moved there. But I think it was more like a social problem that I had, not a work problem. So I think, of course, the more languages you know is the best for everything. Just especially for traveling. I mean, that's my other passion. Is to travel, and I think if I would not know how to speak English, it would have been really hard to do some things that I did.
Yeah, and then your work is so much influenced by your environment, your surroundings, and you have shown pictures of cities and spaces. So clearly, the travel is a big important aspect of your life and creativity.
Oh, yeah. For me, I think it's probably it's more a passion than designing. I love designing. I think it's I did every different kind of design that is existing. I think it's at least for a short time, but traveling is also always I don't know. I from time to time I count the countries I've been. I have a map somewhere with pins, because I think my goal is just to. I don't think I will ever get to know the whole world and have a pin in every country, but it's it would be my goal, and it's every time I can, I try to get to a new place and learn about the new places, and And I think this is the best inspiration for everything. It's just like for arts or for creation or for design. It's always the best thing is always to travel and go to the place you have to.
That's not my dog, by the way. I was
Oh,
concerned about my dog barking. Okay, there's like so many questions. So this one is from Anthony. He has like bombarded the Zoom chat with so many great questions. So I'll tackle some of them. He asked, how much research do you have to do? I can't even imagine trying to avoid even the appearance of anything that had been done before. So in Spanish, for Spanish speakers, ¿cuánta investigación tienes que hacer? No puedo imaginarme tratando de evitar incluso la aparición de algo que se haya hecho antes. The question was raised in English. And you could answer it in English. You don't have to do both.
Okay. It's a lot of research. It's always, but as I said before, I don't think that you have to wait to do the research until you get the job to do. I think you can make, if you are doing research all the time, it's much more easy when you get the job that you have already. It's not that you are an expert on what you have to do, but at least you have an idea. So it's hard. I think one of the things also is just important to have references or do a lot of investigate the topic you have to do. Also, not to do something that is been already done. I don't know if this was the question also, but and also something really important, I think, is that I think that this is the answer. I think the important thing is that you not only research on the topic. If you have to do shoes, you don't have to research only shoes. You have to research a lot of other things, because probably if you go, when you have to do a shoe, you make a research on shoes, you will create a shoe that has something to do with other shoes. If you investigate architecture, art, other kind of arts or disciplines, then you have more places to tackle and just to go to this product, and you have more chances to create something new than if you research on the topic you have to do to design.
Yeah. There's also a follow-up question, since you mentioned shoes, and Anthony also asked, when doing shoe design, who engineers the rest of the shoe portion for performance? And how do you marry aesthetics with the performance aspects, structure, padding, sole, etc.? I'm going to post the Spanish translation in the chat.
Well, this is it's a teamwork, right? I'm just like a direction of the design. So I create the concept and I have the idea of that I wanted to link to a train. But of course, there's a lot of engineers, there's a lot of technicians, there's a lot of other designers also that help me. So I'm part of the team. So when it comes to color, I just can suggest which are the colors, but then there's a color team that makes the colors for me. And then there's the engineers just creating the outsole, especially this 3D outsole. This is a big project. Also testing the materials. You have to go to I go and check a lot of things, but just because of I like to know about that. But I went to the lab test when you have a shoe that is like doing this all day. And I don't have to make this machine. I don't know how it works. If the outsole gets broken, it's not that I have to repair it or just find the way that it's going to work. But of course, as I said, it's a big team, so there's a lot of people really specialists on each part of the process.
Yeah, Adriana Tamayo actually asked how much testing is involved generally before the shoe and design is ready for market. So this is important because you are like designing something, but then maybe the design is adjusted based on the stress test, like someone posted on the chat. So then you have to readjust the design. And then how many iterations could like a shoe go through?
It goes for a lot. It goes for a lot. And I don't know, some of the shoes, I created them, like there's a wild animal collection or something, or the color collection, I use it. I created using previous outsoles. That is the one that requires more development, because the upper part is much more conventional. It's not something like unless you want to do something really new, like the 3D shoe, 3D printed shoe, you have to do more tests. But it's like if you want to do something more conventional and your twist goes for the colors or some of the materials that are already existing, it's not so many tests. In the other hand, for example, in apparel is something interesting. I remember in 2014, for creating the 2014 jerseys in Adidas, the main technology at that time was the ultralight jersey. So it was like Adizero technologies. The idea was to create the lightest jerseys that were ever done, and we did it. But for that, there was a lot of testing. There was like testing on fabrics. There was testing on stitchings. There were testing like as someone said there, the stress test. There were a lot of machines involved, but we also put the whole team put the jerseys, and we went to the football pitch on Adidas, and we played the game, and we were like grabbing ourselves, and we were just trying to rip the jersey apart. And some of them were ripping and some of them not. So there was a lot of learning, but it was done by us also. So in this case also, the fabrics maybe has less technology than an outsole. So it's, of course, it's okay that I do a stress test for a football jersey, but as I'm not a runner, maybe I can do a stress test for outsole.
So I'm so glad that you actually, it's almost like I pick certain questions and you are already answering. So there's one that I got ahead of this talk today from someone who plays soccer here, and she's Argentinian. So I'm posting it on the chat and then I'll read it. So it's Melissa, and she's like, asked, ¿por qué hacen los cuellos de las camisetas femeninas tan en V? ¿Por qué no son cómodos para jugar en ellos? Se te salen los hombros por el cuello apenas te agarran la camiseta. Why do female soccer jerseys have such a pronounced V-shaped collar? They are not comfortable to play, and it's very easy for the shoulders to come out as soon as someone grabs you from the jersey.
Well, this is, I think, it's a really interesting question. I think it depends on the markets. Not every market is ordering these V-shaped jerseys. The football, like female football players don't want these jerseys, and they never wanted, so they were never intended to be played by professionals. It's more like a football fan jersey, and some of the markets are requesting these kind of shapes, but mainly for fun use. It's never for proper performance playing football. This is like all the female football players I know, they just request the same as men, because they are athletes and they don't think that they have to look in a different way for that. So even now with the Chinese company, we are doing like a way of like a female jersey that is a little bit more tiny and it has like shorter sleeve, but it's just like for fans, not play. The football teams for Lanús use the same jerseys as the men.
That's cool. So talking about the designing a kit, so how do you overcome the challenge of designing a completely new and fresh kit? So many teams and they change kits every single year, which I didn't know about. How do you avoid even inadvertently doing something that has already been seen?
I think in the same way, trying to look inspiration in different ways. In football jerseys, the main topic for inspiration has been always football jerseys. So, okay, let's do a jersey that looks the same as the one we won the tournament in 86. And that's completely okay. And fans love it. But for work, it's just like if I ever want someone in the future make a remake of a jersey I've done, I have to do something different. Because if someone makes a remake of this jersey that I make a remake that is a remake, it's really boring, I think. So it's just like you can do remakes because fans all sometimes ask for remakes, and the clubs are also asking for remakes, but you can always mix it with something else. It's just like and from time to time it's okay to do remakes, but once in a while.
I want to be conscious of the time. Usually we have set it at until 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Atlanta time, Eastern time. But if you have a few more minutes to answer a few more questions, we have like several questions. Do you mind staying a little bit longer with us, Martin?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm going through a long list, but so this is something that I think is interesting because you touched it during the presentation, but I probably is a challenge. So Maria Paz is asking, as an apparel designer, how much of your own taste preferences go into each project? Como diseñador de ropa, ¿cuánto de tu propio gusto y preferencias van en cada proyecto?
As much as I can. I usually like to use what I'm designing. I'm not always using it, but I would like to. So I try to do that my taste is fitting into the products I do. Of course, there's a lot of things that I do that it's never going to be even used by me or anyone that I know, but it's like I try to put as much as I can.
Cool. So hold on, I'm like trying to. So this is like a challenge. Like designing football jerseys for a World Cup is a very rewarding experience, as you have described, but it's also challenging because you have to align with so many people. You were like showing images of testing, and then like you show it to Messi, and then you have to go to the FIFA Federation representatives, and then also like the fans have to like it. So what are like the challenges when you're designing one football jersey that becomes the unifying symbol for the entire nation during a World Cup? Like it must have been such a big pressure for you to design for the national team for Argentina, being Argentinian.
Well, I think the first jersey I did was like the one you have now, Natasha, and I think it's like that was not so hard because it was probably the jersey I always wanted to do. For me, was just like the one I always dreamed when I was a kid. So that was the first one. The next ones are getting more complicated, and then it's when you have to research more and just try to go ahead of the first view. You have to start to look on other angles and any other perspectives, because if not, gets really boring. But
Yeah.
as a challenge with all the steps, I think with the Argentinian jersey was not so hard because I'm Argentinian, so at least I had a lot of steps of convincing that they were already covered. So it's just like all my boss and the boss of my boss probably were already convinced because as I'm Argentinian, they believe me. And then in other levels, they have to convince them. So if I convince them, they can convince them. So it was okay. But then, of course, like the 3D jersey was really interesting case because at the beginning, as I said, I tried to do a 3D image product for a long time, and I tried with several products, and I was never succeeding. And in this case, I presented just a so strong story, like from a lot of different points of view. It was okay and great to do a 3D design. So they couldn't, at the beginning, even they didn't like it, but at the end, it was going forward, and they really like it.
That's amazing. Like for me, this comes from me. It's like I would say it in Spanish because cumpliste el sueño del pibe. No solamente diseñaste para la selección nacional, sino que también le hiciste las camisetas a tu equipo River Platense. ¿Qué se siente?
But for me, it was fantastic. This, like I said, it's just like I change the question with another question that I always receive, and I will answer yours. They always ask me if I would ever design the jersey of Boca Juniors. That is the opposite. And I said no, but not because I hate, because I love football. It's not like I don't like when people says like, oh no, all the things that are not from my team are not good. But it's such a nice feeling to design your own team and go to the stadium to see your team and having your jersey there, that I will not take this pleasure from anyone from Boca Juniors to design their own jersey. So it's just like it would be a great job, even if it's not my team and it's just we are supposed to be rivals, but it would be a great job because it's really also an important team. But I will not take this pleasure from anyone because I know how it feels, how good it feels to do your own team. So it's great.
Yeah, that's amazing. So a couple more questions. I've seen, because I was going like over, different social media, your Tumblr. He has a fantastic Tumblr. You guys should check it out. Facebook. There's so much material that you have accumulated. Like I've seen like you have like gigabytes of information, like started like the folder in 2007. You posted a date when you created the first. That was amazing. So how do you establish a good file archiving system to find all the designs you have created through the years?
I'm a disaster. I'm just going from one base to the other. Even I talked with you, and actually like a month, no, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks ago when we started to talk about this project, you told me that I was, I don't have a website. And actually you nearly convinced me for one day. And then the next morning I woke up and said, okay, I need to do, no, I can make it. I used to have everything in 2 hard drives until one crashed. And now I have all in the cloud. And I'm really organized with folders and how I keep my stuff, but to show it, it takes a lot of time because I don't just want to throw it and look. I want it to look the way I want, and it takes a lot of time. So I'm really bad. I'm really bad on showing my job. I used to have Tumblr, and I think it's like the last time I post something in Tumblr was like 2 or 3 years ago, and then I started to do it in Facebook. And then it was like 1 year ago I posted the last time, and now I'm posting in Instagram every like 3 months or something. But it's like yeah, I wish I have like 2 hours more per day, so I have 26 hours a day, and probably I use one of these 2 hours more to do something in the archives or something, and the other I don't know. I just be a little 1 hour more with my daughter. It's just like
yeah, because you want to spend that time too, right? Like working so hard on organizing where you don't spend time with your family. I'm amazed because you were pulling all this information, and I think of asking my students, follow a certain order on things, so then it would be easier for me to archive their material and find, when I want to show examples. So I was thinking, like, how do you find things from like, all these like years ago? And then here is another one. So in one of your Instagram lives, because he has this Instagram live at midnight, like not often, but it's like midnight or Argentinian time. And it's called Sale una birra, I believe. And I saw you showing a collection of Selección Argentina Apparel. How many items do you have, and how many places have you moved all these collectives? Like you live in Germany, and then you came back to Argentina. So I imagine like, gigantic storage space.
No. It's much more smaller than everyone thinks. I got rid of a lot of things. I gave a lot of presents to my friends, to my family, and I just kept what is really important. And I have a lot. Anyways, I have a lot of boxes. But comparing to all I did, I think I don't have so much. I don't have every article I've done. I got rid of a lot of this. But yeah, I have a lot. You asked me like a couple of days ago if I could count how many jerseys I designed, I can't remember. And I just remember now that you asked me that, and I forgot. But I have lots. I have lots. I have lots. And I think I would like to keep on having more and more designs. It's not like something, as I said, when I moved back to Argentina, I said I wanted to quit sport design, and now I'm back. I'm doing a lot of other things too, but I would like to keep that one. I think that like now I'm doing one football team. Soon we are going to have a second football team, hopefully, and I think I can keep to do these 6 jerseys a year, plus all the training wear and the culture wear and everything. And with that, I'm just fine. Then the rest of the job is work, but this is also something really nice.
Yeah, I have like, well, whenever we can go back to Argentina for, travel to visit my family, I'm definitely going to stop by, mask in my face and just like go through your archive because I'm fascinated. And I learned so much through this experience of researching a little bit about apparel design. So the last question, and this is one that, as we're both educators, you would understand, is what advice do you have for people who may want to pursue a creative career? This event is for creatives of different fields, not just design, as we've seen in the original slide. So this is for like anyone, a student, someone that might be like considering starting a different path. And then you have started so many times again and again. So what would be your advice?
Well, it can be persistence. I guess that it's like your dream job maybe is not coming the way you think it was going to come. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a lot of different things, but I didn't want to be a designer. And somehow all the things I wanted, it came through design, right? You wanted to play a football World Cup, and I ended playing one in a different way. I wanted to be an astronaut. I ended being an astronaut in a different way. I wanted to design shoes, and I designed shoes. So it was probably the only one that came in the proper way I wanted. But you have to be open to get it, and not thinking that if it was if one time you had the chance and it didn't happen, it will never happen again. Before I got to get to this profession, to this my first job, it was crazy because my first, it's not that I did like it's not I started like little by little. I started directly in Adidas, so it was just really crazy. So for me, it was just like, okay, now what? After Adidas, it can't be so good. So now with what I'm doing with the Chinese company is interesting because I always said it's like in Adidas I used to do a small part of a big thing, and now I'm doing a big thing of a small thing. So it's just like also interesting to find a way of getting in love with what you're doing. And yeah, never put your arms down. Just never get tired of trying, because it can always happen. It's just like we were talking like a couple of weeks ago also about like getting a frustration of something you want and you can't get, like it would make it you go around the corner and try. If you can go here, you just try to go there or there. There's a lot of different ways of getting to what you want. So I keep on trying. The first time I draw a football jersey, I was like 10 years old, and the first jersey I designed and make it to a pitch was like 21, 22 years later. So it takes time.